The next item is a request of David Webb to speak to the commission on in what situations have vendors been assessed additional fees, such as probation, and in those circumstances, how were those fees assessed?
Yeah, so before I do my things, I actually want to ask a few things from Jeff. I will try and keep it concise. I understand you guys have been here for a significant number of hours today. Okay, so first and foremost, was any research, sounds like the year was changed last year. Previous to that, it had gone until December 31st. The reason given was daylight savings time. Through the chair, did daylight savings time change in 2022 or 2023?
I'm going to open this right now. Mr. Webb, I'm going to say this to you. If you're going to come off as antagonistic, going at Mr. Antonelli, I will make a motion to table all these items, and this conversation will not happen tonight.
I appreciate your threat to
Okay.
silence me.
It's not a threat.
I need to ask my question.
Okay, you can ask your question, but don't be antagonistic, and don't come at Mr. Antonelli or any of us, because it will be over.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me rephrase then. What changed between the past 26 years and last year for that time frame, the season to change?
Through the chair, we made it consistent across the board with all vendors as part of the bidding process.
So was there anything that changed other than your policies?
We made it consistent across the board for all vendors through the bidding process.
Okay, so that is a change from the previous year? Just like that doesn't answer my question. I'm not trying to
We
be
made a change through the bidding process for all bidders.
Is that a yes?
So yes,
You made a
there was a
change.
Well,
change.
thank you. Okay, so was there any, I guess, was this change based on any external circumstances, or was it purely an internal decision? The external circumstance you mentioned earlier was daylight savings time and when it gets dark.
We made the change so everybody was on the same page and so that our vendors all knew exactly what the time frame was. Those are the dates that we chose.
Was it previously not everyone on the same page with the same dates?
That is correct.
Huh, okay. So that was one thing. The other, I just, of course, need to have it on the record that I filed a bunch of public records requests and confirmed that there was there's been many different issues like the ones Jeff is talking about where they've tried to be on the agenda and for one reason or not, we're not. The first meeting I was here, and it's on the open record from that meeting, they were not accepted, and Mr. Kilbrew was told that by the chair that they were not aware he wanted to be on the agenda because he did not respond to something. And I understand that sounds antagonistic, but that is directly related to one of my later requests, so we'll save that for there. So anyways, the first request that I was introduced for, what role does the parks, in what situation have vendors been assessed additional fees such as probation? And in those circumstances, how were those fees assessed?
So through the chair, the vendor has not been associated additional fees. We have, through precedent setting on the Parks Commission, used the Parks Commission as a place for when issues arose to have vendors, permit holders come to the Parks Commission and explain how and what happened and how they're going to fix the issue.
In what situations have vendors been assessed have been assessed probation fees?
None.
Okay.
So what you're talking about, Mr. Webb, is that in all of what we did, Mr. Kilbrew was given a year and a half or so to try to run his business there at no charge. It had nothing to do with anything else, but it was time for him to start paying for use of Elm Park, as all other vendors had previously. We, the Parks Department, gave him the ability to use the park at no fee to make sure that what he was proposing, slime, rides, was going to work. And then once we knew that it was, fees started to be imposed. It had nothing to do with the probation, it had nothing to do with that. He began the fees at that point.
So if I go back and watch those meetings, the word probation won't be used repeatedly? There won't be a discussion of meeting weekly for probationary reasons? I haven't looked yet, so I'm just asking. You seem to know more about this specific thing than me.
I don't understand the question.
Was the word probation used in relation to these fees?
I don't know.
Aren't you the person who speaks for the park? Okay, so the next question, because this is part of this one, and every time you talk about it was it was written somewhere, everyone received the same thing. You can do whatever you want because it's in the bid contract. So if they agreed to it, you can do it. Where was it written that those? I won't call them fees because I don't want to get into semantics. But where was it written that they might be charged that thing you ended up charging them, whether or not you called it a probationary fee?
So, I'm
still not
Based on what-
confused.
I'm not sure what the fee is because it seems to be vague, and probation is a word that it looks like we can't admit, and there obviously aren't records of.
Well, it sounds like he was on probation for breaking a rule separate from the driving, I'm assuming.
And so I couldn't find anything on the website about probation, and I guess I'm asking, where could Mr. Killebrew have known about that in advance?
I don't know if he was told, I don't know. But it sounds like in terms of the fee, from what Mr. Antonelli is saying, he hadn't been charged, and after he established himself, correct me if I'm wrong, just like everybody else, he was then.
It doesn't sound like just like everyone else. That's what we're saying, is this is an exceptional circumstance that is unlike
No,
every other.
when every other vendor is paying a fee and he's not, and after he established himself and what's the consistent.
why
That
is it
is the
called
case,
probationary?
Mr. Chairman, or through the chair, that is the case.
Right.
Everybody else was paying the fee. Mr. Killebrew did not pay the fee. So once he established himself, then he paid the fee.
Right.
Through the chair, can you provide any clarity onto the noise issue that they discussed earlier? That seemed to be directly related, sorry, not noise. The fees seem to be associated to the fact that they were charging $5. Can you provide any information around that?
It sounds like someone complained that there was an activity taking place in the park, which is a public park, and a fee was being charged. I think it's fair to bring forth the point that maybe not everyone goes to a park and expects there to be, if you bring your kids there and they see something happening, they
If we
want to
normalize
do it,
vendors, that might not
and
be
there's
the
a
issue.
fee. If there weren't any vendors, it wouldn't be an issue.
I said if we
guess so, yeah.
normalized vendors, if people went to parks because there were vendors and buskers and not one vendor per park and an auction system that discouraged people from applying, there would be more vendors and people would expect vendors and we wouldn't have this issue.
But not everyone goes to a park to buy things.
No, but if I complain about, let me put it this way. I show up at a park and I complain about the softball people being too loud. You're not about to charge them $200 a week or make them come back every 2 weeks to figure something out, and the word probation
They
probably
have.
wouldn't be.
Actually, they have.
They have.
They absolutely have.
They have.
Don't even, we've,
Is it called a
we've had
probation?
we've had leagues in here
Yes.
month after
We've
month.
pulled
yes.
permits from leagues.
So then where is the word probation used in any of this? It seems like you guys are denying that it was ever used now. So I guess, let me take a step back. Can we confirm that you have charged someone something that had the word probation attached at some point in time in the past, or am I being gaslit right now?
I think I think probation can be used two ways. At some point, you got to say thank you, Rob, for giving Jeff no permit fees for a while during a good probationary period.
So you guys keep harping on, we can do this because you agreed to it, because we put it forward, because it was in writing, because they agreed. Where was it written that those fees might be charged? Sorry, I'm gonna, for this moment.
I do appreciate the opportunity to have started at no cost. That was a great opportunity for myself and my daughter. The problem came about when there was a complaint that was made, but was not given. I was not informed of the complaint. It was not properly documented. Okay, so when I went to go renew my permit, I was not given. My permit was not renewed. Okay, so then it was until the following year when I came and requested to be back in front of the commission, where we had that conversation about what the complaint was, and that complaint was about the $5 that I was charging for rides at the park. Now, if you compare that to a food truck who's there, if somebody doesn't like the price of the food truck and of his ice cream, should that person be put on probation? So then when I was told that I would be on probation, that was the first time that I was charged $50 every 2 weeks throughout this probationary period, to which the commission was not sure of the probation process because Assistant Commissioner Antonelli was not there during that meeting. The other gentleman who was here earlier, he was the one who chaired it. So do you know the older guy with the
Jeff?
No. I want to say his name is Steve. I don't know, but my point is he wasn't. There was no one to answer to this process of being on probation. So the commissioners all asked each other, so do we have to have special meetings now every 2 weeks to now consider this? And they didn't. No one could answer the question. So we just kind of let it go on from there. And for I think maybe the next 4 or 5 weeks, I paid the $50, and after that, I wasn't charged again. So the question would be, if was that fee, it was never clarified whether that fee that I was charged was that a probationary fee or was that my fee to get started. So then the following year, I was told that I had to pay $500. So I asked to be in front of the commission again. Where did that $500 fee amount come from? Because up until that point, I was told that a person could make a donation of maybe $500, $1,000, or $1,500, but never given what those fees were relative to. What benefits do you get based on those different fees? The point is there was no rate schedule. Those numbers were just or appears to have been just made up. So at that point, when I started to question about where these fees were coming from, I've been tabled for the last 2 years. So instead of so that's why my questions are so long, based on my personal experience, and talking to some of the other guys, the other food truck vendors in the city. So when we were looking at pulling public records, to show that no, it doesn't appear that anybody else has been put on a probation. It doesn't appear that anybody else has been charged a fee. It doesn't appear that anybody else was tabled from being prevented from speaking because they submitted a request to be on the agenda by a PDF versus a Word document. There's a lot of things that have seemed to be, especially after we look at public records, only have happened to me.
Okay, through the chair. I'm trying to piece things together because I wasn't here 2 years ago. The $50 fee, Rob, is that the fee you were charging him to be in the park?
Correct.
Okay, so it wasn't a probationary penalty, that was just the fee. So for a portion of the time, he was there for free
Yep.
to see if he can get his business rolling.
Yep.
Then you said, okay, we'll go every 2 weeks at $50 every 2 weeks. Or whatever that, I'm
I'd
not
have to
sure.
look at, I'd have to see what
Okay,
that, but yeah.
I'm just
something
going by
along
what
those
this says
lines.
here. So it's not a probation penalty.
No.
That was just the fee being imposed because he had the free ride for the first month, whatever it was.
Right, no different than the fee that was paid by the previous vendor or other vendors in public parks.
Now my second question, I guess, and who cares how much he charges for a ride, I guess, am I missing something here? Was there a complaint
There was a complaint that came in, yes.
that just
on
because of
it.
the price of his,
Yeah, there was a complaint on that end of it, and,
But did-
I mean, we want to harp on this, that's fine, but nothing ever came out of it
Okay.
after that, and
so a complaint came in one ear out the other,
then we
basically?
said, the commission went through the process, and that was it.
He was never penalized for charging,
Nope.
okay.
Wasn't put on probation for that.
No, the commission did say that we want to watch this and see if anything else comes in. But then after that,
Okay.
there was no need to do anything else
Right.
because we didn't get any other complaints.
Right.
And so then it was over with.
But the complaint was about my price. So the question is that a reasonable reason to put
Well,
somebody
that's
on
what,
probation?
you weren't on probation for
Right.
you're misconstruing the word probation.
Wait a minute, because you weren't, you're fairly respectfully new to this process. What I'm saying is that I had already been operating. I started in 2018 Okay, so in the fall of 2018 is when this complaint came in. When I started to renew my permit, because it was only going from like every month to month or week to week. At the end of 2019, when I applied again, my permit was not renewed. When I asked why my permit wasn't renewed, I did not get a straight answer until the following season, until July of the following year. So I was not able to operate. My permit was not renewed. So then when I finally got back in front of the commission, I was told that I would be put on a probation and now assessed a fee of $50 every 2 weeks during that probationary period, and I have email documentation for that. So it was never defined that my fee that I'm paying now, that I was being charged at the time, was now going for my fee for operation, because it was not continued for the rest of the season. It was only during that probationary period. It was never distinct. It was never distinguished between the probationary period and this $50 fee, because they both started at the same time and they both ended at the same time. And I continued to operate even after that period without the fee. So it would beg the question: was that fee just for that probationary period? Because it was never defined. It started and ended at the same time.
I don't have dates. I just, from what I'm
Well,
hearing.
those dates I've actually put in those questions. So when you get time to read through those questions,
Flip 'em.
everything is there.
From what I'm hearing, you were given a certain amount of time to get your business up and running. Then it was after you showed sustainability, Rob said, hey, you know what, you're doing fine. Now we have to impose a standard fee.
But that fee was not, that was not communicated. What was communicated was there's a complaint, and now you're going to be put on probation. And during this probationary period, I can show you by email so that it will clear up. Just as confused as you are, as that's how I was during that time period, to find out why am I now being assessed a fee? Why am I being put on probation because somebody complained about my fee? If I don't have to change my price, why am I being put on probation?
I totally agree with you on the pricing. I couldn't care less what you charge. I'm not sure the story's coming out exactly how it played out.
I can show you by
But-
email. This is all documented.
During your free period, did you ever say to Rob, hey, I'm doing great, let me give you guys some extra fees? Thank you very much.
Who would do that?
Exactly. So you're right, absolutely right. So at some point, Rob has to charge a fee.
I mean,
That sounds like we're complaining about the fee that he charged.
no. The complaint is around whether or not that fee was based on me being on probation, because it started at the same time and ended at the same time. Now, I think it is a great opportunity for not just myself, but a lot of other people to be able to do this at a reduced rate. Whether it was free or or maybe it should be free. If we're able to afford to do that for a period of time, what is the point of these fees? Which begs another question. When I was writing my checks, they were going to Park Spirit. Park Spirit is a nonprofit organization whose interest is in preserving the parks. Up until this year, when we went to bid process, now the fees no longer go to Park Spirit. So the question is, for one, where's that money going? I applied for a grant from Park Spirit, and they never responded to that grant to have my festival at the park. So that's another can of worms. Where are these fees going? And if there was a level of fees being, whether it be $500, $1,000, or $1,500, that was never defined before. So during this period of me, while the park is also checking me out, I'm also checking out the operation of the park. I was able to operate with no issues, except for the one complaint about my price at that point in time. But then I have questions about where's money going. And at what level?
$10 a day rent.
Huh?
It's going to $10 a day rent to run a business.
Wait, no. So, no. Once the fee was paid to the organization of Park Spirit, what was that money used for? And I'm not saying the fee for me to operate. Okay, especially as I applied for a grant from Park Spirit, I never got an answer back from that grant that I applied for. I reached out to Mr. Miller several times by email, by phone. We had several conversations. But then when I started asking certain questions, the call stopped being picked up. Again, when I made the city manager aware that there was no rate schedule, we went to a bid process. So there's a lot of questionable things that I've experienced since I've been a vendor here at M Park in particular.
So the original question here, and I'm just going to ask it yes or no this time, or is it written that those fees might be charged? My question was originally where. I understand you guys may not be capable of answering that. Yes or no, is it written anywhere that those fees might be charged?
It's in the application?
Through the chair, it is as part of the bid package.
Okay.
Okay, but so someone who, prior to the bid, switching to a prohibitive bid package this year would never have been informed about that ahead of time before being assessed those probationary, right, probationary periods. Are those disclosed to vendors now, at least?
Those are done through precedent, through the Parks Commission if complaints come in.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by precedent?
The Parks Commission has held precedent that they will address particular issues that come to the attention of the department or of the commission and address those with vendors, with permit holders, with events of issues that may be causing concern for neighborhoods or our residents.
So
So
it
the
sounds like
current-
precedent is simply doing something because it was done before. I'm kind of asking what established doing this practice in the first place, and more importantly, was it disclosed to the people subject to it?
So in the rules and regulations document, it says that vendors and concessioners who do not abide, failure to follow all ordinances, rules, and regulations may result in fines and could have their vending/concession permit revoked. Probation, to me, seems like a
So this goes
middle
under the
ground
catch-all of
sorts.
fines.
So this is in the rules and regulations document for,
I have said for a while that document effectively functions as a we can do what we want and it says so here. And this, I believe, demonstrates that. But yes, it is now written somewhere. Do you want to read in my next item?